Hi everyone, I'm Tim Albers and welcome to the Big Eye Sports Podcast on USBN Sports. And we're joined here by my co-host Steve Ellis. And Steve, I'll tell you what, I think we know this guy just a little bit, our next guest.
Yes.
To be my little brother, Tim Albers. And I know you remember him when he was a wee little tad there. He was kind of but I'll tell you what, I know I'm biased obviously because he's my brother, but he was an unbelievable athlete at Anderson. Played all three sports, just did a great job. So kind of cool. And we're going to hear some of these stories that Timmy's going to have to say, and he might maybe even have some about us. That's scary.
Well, now that you say that, because I'm sure he's going to talk about what great role models you and I were for him. But I want to say you were talking. He was captain of three sports,
right?
Which to me speaks volumes about what kind of character and leader that he was, and respect he got from his teammates and his coaches for all three sports. Not many people can say that. It's tough to do it one sport, let alone three.
Exactly. You've seen a lot of guys that are captain of two sports, but to do three, and then also perform how he performed in high school.
Yes.
He was, and it's a fun. We'll probably get into this a little bit later too. But one of the funny stories that I've always heard is Craig Reck. Timmy and Craig used to always get into it all the time with the Glen Estee Anderson thing. Yep. And I'll never forget Craig saying, man, he goes, you know what? I hated your brother. And the only reason I hated him is because he was so goddamn good. Yeah. And he's like, and he just brought out the competitive, and those guys used to battle at I'm sure you probably remember.
Sure. Those. Oh, yeah. And as we go through this, and this is not anything other than really just showcasing Timmy for what he accomplished in high school playing sports, and for what you and I completely feel that he should be deserving to get in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It should have been done a long time ago. Yeah. And unfortunately kind of went through, with some of the ADs that they've had there, just kind of went on the side. But I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way, and I think Coach Soriano is probably one of those two that feel the same way. So I know once we talk about all this stuff, I think people feel the same way about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Timmy's here too.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead, and as we said, joining us is Timmy Albers, my brother. Bro, thanks for coming here. It's been a long time. We've been trying to get you. We were trying to actually save you for podcast number 60.
I probably should have been number one, though.
You probably should have. I agree with you, Tim. Scoot a little closer, just a little bit there. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. No, but you should have been number one. Yeah, but we tried, and you just kept balking at it for some reason. We don't know why. Is there a reason that you didn't want to come on with us?
Probably because I don't like to do this kind of thing.
That's as honest as it gets right there.
Well, I know a lot about, we talk about the growing up thing, and I obviously know a lot about it because, you were my brother. And I think the one thing that I'm going to say, we're going to talk about, obviously what side you grew up on, all that, what it was like and all that. But before I get into that, I think the thing that I loved about you when you were little is I finally got to beat the crap out of somebody. And that's what I used to do to Timmy all the time. Timmy
hated me when I was...
What a bully.
Well, I'm going to have to say I molded you to the athlete that you were because of that. Because Moose babied you.
Who did I get my attitude from then?
Me. Because I used to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And okay.
That is all not true, by the way.
Well, Timmy, just go back. Obviously everybody knows about us, but just talk a little bit about growing up, and what side of, Anderson you were at, and just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I grew up on Summit on the good side, I guess you'd call it. But did I live in Linderwood House or not?
No, you did not.
So I grew up on Clemson Circle. It was a great neighborhood. We had a ton of kids that were around the same age as me. We grew up together, played ball together, played circle, baseball.
Nice.
In the backyard as well, football. And I remember, I think you were just talking about it last week, a couple weeks ago when you were on, talking about how we would just go out and play and then come in for dinner. Yep. And if you had time, you still went back out and played again. So now I'm on the other side of Summit. Now it's the good side of Summit that I live on.
No, it was a great neighborhood. And like you said, Timmy, and what I remember is when we were playing and you were little and you were always around us playing ball all the time. So you were trying to get in all the games and you were just at the time just a little too little, but we finally started weeding you in the games as much as we could because Craig Hornschmeyer was another one that was a little bit younger and he always wanted to play. And so trying to get the younger kids to come in and play, but they hung around us like, you guys just... They basically fed off of what we did.
Yeah. Do you remember when Mom and Dad put the basketball hoop in the circle?
Yes.
Like, what year was that? Were you guys still in high school?
Yes, we were still in high school.
Was it did you guys put me down in the hole to see?
Yes,
and
we
I
had
got
to
stuck.
measure. Yes,
Yeah.
we tried to. So that was Big Guy's way of measuring.
Yeah.
So we dug the hole and had a telephone pole, and Timmy's way, Big Guy's way of measuring the distance, how far the telephone pole would go. He marked the telephone pole, and then he'd take Timmy and hold him and drop him down in there.
Oh my gosh.
And then he'd go over by the telephone pole and he'd look at it and he goes, nah, a couple more inches.
Yeah. Were you traumatized by that?
Probably.
Yeah.
That was the best thing Mom and Dad did. Putting that basketball hoop in there.
There's no doubt. And it's a perfect spot, too. Kind of like yours.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you had a great spot for basketball, too.
Yeah, we had
a big driveway.
Well, we had a single driveway, and then when my sister and my two brothers got older and they were getting cars, my dad expanded the driveway to make it a double driveway, and right then they got a basketball hoop, and that changed everything. I mean,
It really did.
Yeah.
Because that's all. I mean, we were out there nonstop. I mean, I remember Timmy going out there in the snow, just playing out in the snow, shovel the driveway,
oh yeah,
go out there, and he'd be out there, all of his buddies. I mean, it was, the only bad thing is if you go hard, you're going to hit that pole. I mean, that was...
So did you play like one-on-one against Danny or anything, or?
He didn't like me much when I was growing up. So.
Yeah.
And if you try to go for a shot,
I played Moose against Moose.
You know, I would probably qualify it as jealousy more than not liking. Okay, let's go with that.
Good point.
I don't know about that.
So growing up, Timmy, let's go through some of the sports you played. We're going to talk about what you did in high school, but what sports did you play growing up in Pee Wee or Knot Hole, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I played all football, basketball, baseball, played with the local kids in the neighborhood. I did play soccer.
Wait a minute. What?
Yep, I did play soccer.
And hold on.
And here's the reason why.
Yeah.
I would play football, then I was too fat to go to make weigh-ins because they had weigh-ins.
Okay.
So I was too fat, so I couldn't make weigh-ins. So then I'd play soccer a year, then go back to football.
Oh, because
At me.
by the weight, it would go up?
I could never make weight when it would go up.
Is that right? How many years did you have to do that?
I think 3.
You played 3 years of soccer?
And I remember the name of the team and the coach. The name of the team was the Stompers. And Mr. Stringer was the coach.
Yes.
No kidding.
Kyle Black was on the team.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know Kyle played soccer.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's scary. I can't see Kyle playing soccer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were pretty little, though.
Yeah.
And Kyle wasn't probably any good, was he?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
I know he liked playing against Timmy too.
Yes.
You know, the other thing with playing in basketball is Dad coached our team. Dad and Moose coached our basketball team. The neighborhood kids got a team together all white.
Was that for, what was that for? Kiwanis or what was
I think
that?
It was Cincinnati
like
Recreation Commission, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because we play, I can't remember where we played it.
Well, you played at Mount Washington Rec Center.
Yeah.
I remember you played there, the old one, the old Mount Washington Rec Center.
Where the line was like right by the wall.
Yeah.
And you would just go all over to like Dunham, all over the city. I think you would play games, so it wasn't really cool.
Oh, so it was like a CYO league?
It wasn't even CYO. It was just like it was a recreation league, but for little, and they traveled. I mean, they went all over the city. And
because I don't think we had a home place. We just would go wherever.
Just go wherever the game was. And Moose, Big Guy, and Dave Peters. Dave
Peters helped coach?
Yeah.
Nice. There's a name.
Yes,
and it was all our, the kids in the neighborhood. It wasn't anybody else outside of the neighborhood that played.
But it was you're right. But it was the kids, and you guys ended up playing a lot of you guys played baseball.
Town Properties,
Wow.
Yeah.
Town Properties.
Yeah. Won a city championship with them.
Yeah, it wasn't, I umpired one game for you guys.
I have attitude with
No, at IHM. But I mean, do you remember this?
I don't.
Yeah, it was like a desperation, obviously, because I think it was the first and only game I ever umpired. and I guess I made a really bad call. And who was the coach?
Big Guy was.
No.
Walkie.
And Walkie says, no, he was actually safe. And so, and it was for the other team.
Yeah.
And so he put him on, I'm like, man.
Oh, wow.
This will be my last game umping.
That's funny. I didn't know you did that. That's funny.
You got me to do it. I mean, obviously,
Why didn't I do it?
It's a good question.
Because Timmy was playing?
I don't know. You were chasing girls or something.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. All right. So Timmy, we're going to go through your sports that you played with football and basketball and baseball, and we're going to work backwards.
Yeah.
We're going to start with baseball. And in baseball, you had a great career at Anderson, and you're going to talk about it after high school, what you did with baseball. But in baseball, a lot of awards that you got, but one of them was you were all-league your junior and senior year, which is a tough thing to do, and it goes along with all the other accomplishments from all the other sports that you got. And you were the booster athlete of the year, for multiple sports. I believe you played for Paul Campbell.
I did for 2 years.
2 years. Who was the coach before that?
Terry Erdman.
Okay, let's.
No way.
All right. Yeah. Let's go with Paul Campbell.
No, absolutely.
So let's talk about playing for Coach Campbell and some of the teammates you had on that team, because you guys were pretty good, I think.
So our sophomore year, Terry Erdman was the coach.
Yep.
Rich Newman was the AD at the time. We weren't very good. He was okay coach, just wasn't. We had a ton of talent on the team, just not very good coach. But so then Rich Newman actually talked to Paul Campbell, and we're like, "There's no way Paul Campbell's going to leave
Glennis. He was there forever.
Anderson."
Yeah.
One good thing about it was Trevor Ellison lived across the street from Paul Campbell. So Trevor would always talk to him.
Is that right?
Told him, come to Anderson. We've got a bunch of talent there.
No kidding.
So Rich Newman deserves a lot of credit for getting Paul Campbell to come. He was awesome, and he brought a staff with him that you guys would not believe. I mean, Rich Dotson, you guys talked to him.
Yeah.
He was the pitching coach. Ray Ayers was the first base coach.
I forgot about that.
And he was at Glen Estee. He came over with Barry Martin Sr. Was also a coach there. So those were our main coaches. I could name you the starters probably on that team still to this day.
Go ahead.
Jeff Collins was a catcher. He ended up going to Radford to play. Stevie Adams was at third base.
Okay.
He only played, I think, 1 year. He had Steve Cowell short, and he went to Toledo. Trevor Ellison played second. Then you had Corey Tate, who went to Toledo too. Those, Tate and Cowell were really good. Mikey Martin was out in the outfield. You had Travis Beck out in the outfield. Then you had Kyle Cochran. He was a pitcher. He played a little bit. Townley.
He was a good pitcher.
Rob Hare. I mean, we had some. The funny thing is, we started out 5-4. Our junior year, we didn't start out real well. We lost to Indian Hill, which we should never lose to Indian Hill, right?
Yeah.
So we're 5-4, and then we won 15 straight games after that.
No kidding.
15.
What was it like playing for Coach Campbell?
He was great. I mean, a lot of people didn't like him because of the way he was loud, boisterous. But, he was wonderful. I mean, he
knew his stuff.
Very much. I mean, I don't know how many wins he had at Glen Estee before he came over, but he also was a women's softball coach before that too, I think.
Oh, really?
And then he was.
Dad loved him. Dad would go to all those games.
They were best buds, and they would talk to each other.
Yeah.
I remember my senior year, your dad would come to a couple games here and there, and he would yell at it was great to have him there.
So your senior year, didn't you set a record for strikeouts?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I've heard, but they keep very good records. So I don't know. I mean, wins, losses, thing then too. I'm sure Jensen Lewis probably blew that out of the water. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of sports. Go ahead, Danny.
Well, I was just going to say, what people don't understand back then, Timmy had not only in that, but we'll get back into it later too, with football though too. So he had some, and back then Anderson didn't throw the football that much. And so like with baseball too, Timmy I think had it was in the top 10 or top 5 in strikeouts, but that's been, we just don't, I mean, at the time he was, and it's probably broken, like he said, Jensen Lewis and some other guys, and it's just unfortunate they don't keep these great stats.
And that is what I was going to say, is multiple sports. I think football does a pretty good job for the most part, but all the other sports, for some reason, it just has been dropped. I mean, like cross country and track, you're going to have the records because Andy Wolf's been there forever, so he knows all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think back in the day there was just such turnover before Soriano got there in football. There was turnover a lot in all the other sports, right? If you think about it, I mean, there wasn't. So, but turnovers and ADs and all that stuff too. But just an unbelievable career that you had. I'll tell you what, the one, and I'm sure you probably remember this too, was the baseball run you guys had, and you were dominant against some of these GCL schools. And I want to say, now I could be wrong, wasn't it like Eldon LaSalle or Eldon?
I thought it was St. X.
It was, so we had to play Glen Estee to end the year to see if we could win league. Right. That was the last game. Oof. So we played them, beat them, had to turn around the next day and play them again in the first round of the tournament.
Oh, my gosh.
So we beat them, and then we played LaSalle.
All right, hold on a minute. I want to go back to that. So if you played in back-to-back days, did you pitch one of those days?
The league championship game. Yeah. And Glenn Hawk, I forgot about him, but Glenn Hawk was the pitcher for the next game.
Okay, all right. So you obviously won that game.
We killed on that game. It was a close game. I don't know if you remember. We played at Midland, the league championship game. Bases were loaded, nobody out, and they had their best hitter come up. I think he flew out or grounded out. We got the next two guys out, and then we scored a couple runs in the bottom.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
But then we played again, beat them in the first round. Then we played LaSalle at Oak Hills, and I think you were there.
I was.
I think we won 4-2.
Okay.
I had a lefty, and I've been trying to think of his name, but he pitched in the MLB, and I cannot think of his name. But he was a pitcher. He started for him. But we won 4-2. Turned around and had to play Elder like 2 days later. I think it was.
Oh my gosh!
So quick turnarounds. There.
Yeah.
2 days later, we played Elder and won 1-0.
So you got to have good pitching.
Did you do the LaSalle game and the Elder game, or just you did both?
Well, yeah, I think I pitched 3 games in 10 days or something like that.
Wow.
So it wasn't much turnaround.
And your big pitch was your changeup. Yeah. That was a big one. I mean, I remember them always. But I just, was it the LaSalle game or the Elder game that you were just, God, you were like, I mean, you were just, you had a lot of strikeouts. You had some big, just some.
The Elder game was only a one hitter.
Well, there you go. That's what it is then.
And then Steve Cowell drove in the one run.
I just remember watching him pitch, and then obviously in football, being a quarterback, and in basketball playing, just how competitive, and you could see it in his face.
Almost too much at times, though.
Never too much, Timmy. Never too much.
No, I mean, it was the truth. I mean, it was like we just said earlier with Craig. Craig Reck, always said that. He's said those two couldn't stand each other in high school.
Yeah.
When I saw him a couple times, he said, the only reason I hate him is because he was so, he used to tick me off. And, I'm sure that's what it was. But,
Did you guys go to the St. X baseball game? Were you there at Midland?
I think I was.
there.
I really think I was.
That game.
Wasn't it
We were up 5-0.
Yes.
Okay. 5-0 in the fourth inning or something like that.
Either 6-5 or 7-5.
6-5. They brought in their guy to close out the game who ended up going to LSU. A big pitcher, and it was first round pick, I think, but he went to LSU.
Wow, how about that?
So if you would have won, he would have put you where?
I think that was sectional. No, that was district. So we would have won district, and then we went up to regional to play like the Dayton teams. And usually, if you get to Dayton, you can go through.
It's a little easier game that next step than it is to the.
Then it is to get through all those.
Isn't that funny how that works? Yeah.
That's crazy. And then of course you have the. Playing for legendary coach and Vince Soriano, and we've had Vince on the podcast, and everybody that we've had that played for him loved him. So just talk a little bit about your with Vince Soriano.
It's funny because you talked about it, I think, on your podcast or when you were interviewed, but you started coaching 89?
That first year that he was there. So
89.
So from 82, when I was 6 years old, to through high school, I was at Anderson all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Think about it. And Jake said that, I think, too, on his. But, you grow up, and I was a ball boy.
I was just going to ask you if you were a ball boy, too.
Soriano's first year, because Danny was coaching, so he asked me to help. I think the ball boys at the time were Jake, Jason Bell, and then the Soriano kids, they were younger.
How about that group?
That's crazy.
That's pretty good.
I mean, that was awesome. And coach is great. I was going to bring this up. Paul Campbell should probably be in Anderson's Hall of Fame, and then my two other coaches I played basketball and football are both in Anderson
Hall of Fame.
So it just speaks volumes. The coaches that we had at Anderson at that time.
Yeah. Well, Vince. I mean, nobody disputes how great of a coach he is. But the one thing about you, Timmy, was I know Vince changed it. What do you call it, Danny? The wing tee or something?
He changed just the single back.
Yeah.
He wasn't, he threw the ball more with Timmy as a quarterback than he ever did.
That's exactly right. And just a prototype, I mean, Timmy's size and his arm, some of the throws he can make, was just a great quarterback.
It's Campbell?
Yep.
Was it Brian Campbell that you threw to?
It was pretty easy.
Really, really fast.
Yep.
I mean, he would just fly.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty easy handing the ball off to Jake and let him do it.
That was easy. But, the thing that got you kind of started with the football, though, and how cool was that the 92 team, that famous 92 team that you played on, you were a freshman.
I was
sophomore. Talk about that.
That team made our senior class. I think at the time when we were freshmen, we had 30-something kids on the freshman team.
Yeah.
When we went through summer camp and everything, I think we had 13 kids that ended up sticking through football as sophomores.
Oh, wow.
Year.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we were the scout team, Nate Cosman, Joe Dunn, Fred Woods. The guys would beat the crap out of you. But that made us stronger and better.
Yep.
Right.
A couple of the guys have said it. I don't believe it. Those guys were really good. That our scout team made them better. I don't know about that. Those guys were freaking really, really good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was the case. But it was awesome to be on that team. I remember I was a punter, so I remember we played Norwood, and I'm getting ready to punt, and I'm looking down there, and who's down there? Mark Edwards.
Yeah.
He breaks one. Am I really going to be able to stop him?
What a monster he was.
Right?
Yeah.
How awesome was that game?
That was awesome. We had some awesome games. I mean, at Anderson, but that game was.
He never came off the field.
No, because he played defense, middle linebacker.
I think he was a punter too, and he was
kicked, he did all that. Well,
kind of like Druso. I mean, Jason didn't come off the field much either.
The only drawback was that year was breaking your ankle and not being able to punt in that big Princeton game, I'm sure. Yeah. But I remember seeing the highlights of you going out there running on your crutches.
I remember that.
It's high town out there in the crutches.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I want to ask you about, Timmy, is a thing that started, Danny, you'll know this. It started back in 1983. It was the honor of having what's called the lucky dollar bill. Yeah. And my dad had a dollar in his pocket for some reason, and Sean Burdick had kicked a field goal to beat McNick. And so he just said that was going to be the lucky dollar. And from then on, he was going to give it to somebody. Right. And so I was fortunate enough to have it, playing in high school. And then after I got done playing, it got passed on. Right. And luckily to this day, it's still going. Sammy, my youngest, she wears it, and she even tells me, she's on the dance team, and she tells me before she leaves the house for the game, I got it. That's awesome. Timmy, I know you had it. Dad designated to you. If you don't mind, tell a little story about that, and unfortunately about your injury.
Yeah. So when he gave it to me, I really didn't know much about it, obviously, but it was awesome coming from your dad. You're a great guy, he was. But So where did you put yours when you? I always put it in my sock.
Well, at the time, Timmy, we wore our socks up to our knees, so it was always in my sock.
Yeah. So I always put it down in my sock.
Okay.
But like you were talking about, I got hurt playing football, broke my ankle. And I was laying on the ground, and they were like, we're going to have to cut your shoes and your socks.
Oh, jeez.
Your pants off. And I looked at Mom, and I said, don't let them cut that dollar bill.
Oh, man.
She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, don't let them cut the dollar bill. It's in this.
Oh, wow.
In this one here.
This guy's in pain.
Right.
His season's over, and he's worried about the dollar bill. That's unbelievable,
that's
Timmy.
Awesome.
That says so much.
And that's what I was like, I have to keep that. You guys cannot cut
that. Wow, incredible. What an honor.
But then I would always put in my sock with your dad. Every time I'd see me, like, you don't have it on you. I'm like, I have it on me. I'm like, think about it. Where's a football player going to put it?
Yeah.
Where's a basketball player going to put it? The only sport I probably could have done it was in baseball. Put it in my back pocket. But at that point, it was already, it was good luck charm for me, so I just left it in my sock all the time.
It's unbelievable. That dollar's made it through, like all of my family, my nephews and nieces and stuff. And
it's Brian.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. In fact, yeah. So, quick story. My oldest brother, Greg, who does broadcast with Danny, he went to Dream Week for the Reds. And at the time, Brian, my nephew Brian, had the dollar bill. And so he went over and gave it to Greg to wear for Dream Week, which was
so cool.
That was really cool.
It's a great story, man.
Yeah.
It's just a whole... that should be like on the website somewhere. Just how that all went and who had it.
I wish I had a list.
I know, so do I. That'd be so cool.
I think, matter of fact, I think Sue Vogel, who's going in the Hall of Fame with you guys, I think she had it.
Who was after Sean? Do you remember? Any idea? Was it? Because Sue was
I think it was just me.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sean and you. Yeah.
Right. Well, Sean didn't have it. He just happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and then...
And then I'm not sure who had it in between me and Timmy, but there was somebody. Might have been Sue Vogel.
She was around 89. Yeah, she was around 89, wasn't she?
Okay, well, then it was Sue Vogel. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
89 or 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like in the early 90s, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Wow.
I just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I always, when your dad was at games, I always remember him sitting in that seat in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, he would have that chair right by the entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Running in and out.
Yeah.
He'd
all the time.
sit
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, there was talk, and this is not kidding, there was talk that they were going to put some type of plaque
They should.
in that spot.
Absolutely.
Or
Right.
put a chair and give it to somebody that gets to sit there for,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he never really sat in a chair. He kind of like...
I always remember him sitting.
Well, he
Yeah,
did.
maybe
He did later when he was getting sick.
Right.
He would sit in the stands. But when we played, he was always
squatting
against
down.
that wall
Put
and
his back
squatting down. Yeah, yeah.
That was always cool. And then you could tell when he got excited, and hearing him, yeah, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh, his voice. Yeah, it definitely carried. I don't know where I got that from, but yeah. All right, so let's move on to basketball, Timmy, and. I believe, and you can help me here, that I think you played for Frank Brandy in his first year.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Actually, I didn't end up playing his first year because I got hurt in football.
Okay.
So his first year, I missed that season. No, you know what?
You did. Did you?
Or did you?
Didn't Frank coach me as reserve?
Yeah, he was
reserve.
He was the JV coach
before he became the head coach.
Right. He was JV coach, and then he left for the summer to go to McNick to be the varsity assistant.
Yeah, right.
And then the Quatman moved up to an administrator,
right,
assistant principal,
right.
And so the basketball job came up, and Frank got the job and came back.
So my freshman year, I played JV with Brent Rosser. We moved up.
Okay.
And Frank was our coach.
Okay.
So I had him too. I would have played sophomore, but got hurt with the football injury. So
okay.
I played then junior and senior year played under him. Another Hall of Famer.
Okay. Right. So talk about playing for Frank now. Understand at the time.
Mannerisms like him.
I don't know about that.
Stomping on the foot.
Frank can give the fist with the best of them. He's calmed down a lot. I think I've calmed down a lot too. But let's talk about playing for Frank. I mean, especially that first year. He's 25 years old, but
he related. I mean, he was able to relate to us a little bit better than some of these other.
Well, I just remember you guys would run through a wall for him. You guys were.
I mean, I remember Nate Cosman and I. We were just done with football. And Nate would run into stuff. He'd love to set stuff up after suicides, and he would dive and run into stuff. So that's what we,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we would just dive and hit the basketball.
Yeah.
He would hold all the basketball. Nice. You're right, we would. I mean, Frank was intense, but I love playing for him. I think basketball was my favorite sport. All throughout.
Really?
Everything. Just because I played it a lot when I was younger. Yeah. And I had fun playing basketball.
Yeah.
Not to say I didn't have fun playing everything else, but and I think a lot of it had to do with who your coaches were too. And I love playing for Frank. It was fun.
Do you remember his very first game?
I do.
At Norwood?
Passed out in the...
Passed out?
Yeah.
That game wasn't...
Got super lightheaded. Well, the game was at hand, and all of a sudden they came back, right?
Yeah, and then we win by 2 in overtime?
Yeah, I'm not sure it was overtime, but
I won like
barely.
We barely won.
Yeah.
Jimmy Cobb, I think, was one of their players.
Jimmy Cobb.
Yeah.
Him and Nate, I think, were battling because they're a football player.
Who else was on your team?
On his first team?
Yeah, Andy Dorco.
Yeah, I don't know if Andy would have been on with junior, senior year. I'm trying to Nate Cosman. think Fred Woods played, but then he didn't play.
I think he did.
And after that,
I think he did.
Jeff Stinson, maybe.
It sounds familiar.
Jeff Stinson.
Yep.
I don't think Scott Hamm. I think it was when I was a freshman. I think he was a senior, so I wouldn't have been.
He was really good.
He was really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah, he could play.
God, that was. I mean,
our junior year was the year that I think was the first Anderson's winning season in like
it was
a long. I mean, 80. I don't know. Did you?
We did.
You guys play? Did you guys have a winning?
We were 10-12.
Yeah, so you're close, but I mean, I think it was the first time since Moose, maybe 83.
Yeah, Moose was the head winning record with Gordon. So
11 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
10, 11 years before they had a. I mean,
Isn't that something?
That's
wow.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Frank had a good run there too.
I mean, just the overall. Think about all the just some of the guys he was naming.
I know.
Athletes that you played with, the coaches that you had. I mean, that's
I think I'm biased, but I think in that 90 to late 90s, I think that was some of the best athletes Anderson's ever had.
You know what? You're not the first person to say that.
If you look on like some of the football players that went to go play Division I football, you look at guys that play baseball.
Right.
I mean, not in swimming. I mean, soccer, women's soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, Brooke Hart. You know, all those people.
Right.
You look at some of those people. Not to say that they're not getting. You know, these kids aren't going to schools now, but there was some big time.
You're right, and then on the other side of it, in boys basketball, if for some reason, like we've interviewed some of these guys from the '70s, and there was at one point in time there was 4 Division I players on one team, and since 1982, there has not been one Division I player.
That's crazy.
Since 1982.
Who was the one in '82? Joe Dayton. He played baseball.
No, Tim Ferguson. Yeah, Tennessee Chattanooga. Yeah, I mean Chris Norrell would have been Division I. He would have gone to UC to play basketball, but he went to Illinois to play football.
And then Adam went to
NKU.
NKU was Division II at the time.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Isn't that something?
I mean, for him to have the wins that he has, Frank, with you know, not the super talent that you used to see on some of these teams.
Well, you guys had some battles though back then. Weren't you guys in the league with Woodward and Taft?
Woodward and Taft.
David Flint, Eric Johnson,
and Andy Dorfman.
I was just getting ready to tell you that story, and I think you know about this.
Go ahead.
The story, and I'll let Timmy kind of talk about it. Was I will never forget filming, and Mick Cronin was an assistant coach then, but I remember filming. And I'm watching, and they're at the free throw line, and Eric Johnson's shooting a free throw, and I see Andy Dorco, John, just going a mile a minute, looking right at him, and just saying a bunch of stuff. And I'm thinking, what? And he missed a couple free throws. And Timmy,
I think he pretty much was telling him, "You're going to Louisville, and I'm beating the shit out of you."
That's what it was, and Andy tore him up.
He battled with him, that's for sure.
But seeing some of those Damon Flint games when he would just step across half court and fire up a 3-pointer.
Do you remember the one game he played, and we were beating him at half, and he came out and scored, I think 30, and he would just come across half court and
launch it.
And he'd turn around. He knew.
Who are you talking about?
Damon Flint.
Yeah. I didn't like his career at UC. I can tell you about when they played Mississippi State down in Louisville or Lexington, and he was like 1 for 15.
Probably why they lost, huh?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Stop shooting.
I was there. Wasn't good.
You were there?
With Dave Woolprice.
Oh, that's right.
Dave and I went and watched that.
Was that the Elite Eight? Yeah, they would have went to the Final Four, right?
The Final Four if they won. They had some guy named Jones from Mississippi State that went nuts.
Point guard? Like a point guard?
He was a guard and went nuts. Yeah, it was with Dave Woolprice on that one.
All right, so let's go on to, we can't talk more about your high school career because it was unbelievable, but after high school, you go on and I believe you went on to play baseball, and were you getting any looks from any of the 3 sports that you played?
Yeah, the problem was I didn't have grades. I didn't do real well in school.
That's honest.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
And then I got
but were you getting looks?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think Coach Sariano really tried to get me to play football. In hindsight, I probably maybe should have done that, take a look a little bit better on that, but decided to go play at Shawnee State baseball played for 1 year. And then the rest is history from there.
Yeah. So what was that experience like?
It was okay. I mean, it's small school, so you know, it was a little different than Anderson Township. That's for sure. You don't have the restaurants and the things to go around.
Yeah. Is that in Portsmouth?
Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the school's bigger now and doing well, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the coach, not so much coach, but the players that I got to meet, and you know.
Do you still talk to any of these guys?
No, on Facebook. He's every once in a while there'll be something, but no, a couple guys I was real close with, but lost touch with them.
Yeah.
But played 1 year. I didn't play much at the beginning, and then got a couple starts and got a college victory, so I can always say I have a
nice.
college
Who'd you beat?
Wilmington.
Nice. The Quakers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did. Yeah, the Quakers.
You did not. You did not know that.
No,
you didn't.
No.
All right. So Timmy, let's move on to your family, because I want to hear all about your boy Brady, and you married into another Anderson family.
So married to Megan. She graduated with us, Megan Stringer. We have a 11-year-old now, hard to believe.
11.
Brady. So he'll be in junior high next year.
Yeah. So he's a sixth grader right now
Sixth grader at Summit.
At Summit,
right? Not going to the old stomping grounds.
Stomping grounds, the Summit Bees, baby.
Is your name on the wall there anywhere?
Actually, it is, and there's a picture up from when Jeff Shoshkin used to run that intramural basketball.
Yeah. Him and your brother.
We were the first class to start it, and so there's a picture up there of me holding the trophy, and Brady's like, "Oh my God, that's you!"
No kidding.
So it's pretty cool.
So what's Brady into? What's he?
Football only.
Okay.
He tried basketball, baseball, but I think he's
no interest
only. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully, he says he's going to play next year. I hope he does, because he's improved a lot.
And he doesn't know how good he can be.
Strong.
He's strong, and he can be really, really good if he wants to be.
At
football,
but like offensive line, defensive line.
Okay.
So he's big, and he doesn't stop. I mean, he kind of stops. If he just keeps going, man, he's going to be good.
I think he learned more this year than he did the previous year, and with COVID, that's to be expected, because didn't learn much, but. He's improved a lot.
Who's he playing for?
He played for Anderson Wildcats.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, his team won the Super Bowl, so he was.
Is that right?
All pumped up.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then your wife was one heck of a swimmer at Anderson, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yes. Yeah. Her brother. Yeah.
And
they both were real good swimmers.
She swam at UC. She sure did.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
At one point, remember, we used to have at our apartment. We had our swimsuit hanging up like we did with our jerseys and stuff. We took our UC shirt.
Is that right? That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, I mean, do you still keep in touch? I mean, I know Dorco's one that you keep in touch with. Is anybody else you keep in touch with?
I don't, but when I see everybody, it's still the same thing. It's still the same brotherhood that you had.
Have you guys had a reunion lately? Or
if we did, I don't.
No.
I think I went to the 5-year or 10-year, and that was it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I still talk to Dorco, text and that, but he comes over from
Andy Dorco's the man.
I tell you, his kids are athletes.
Yeah.
His oldest,
Kate.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she had some concussions, but she's doing really well in track.
Yeah.
But the two boys.
He's got Alex.
Oh my gosh.
Now.
Yes. Yeah. He's a freshman, and he started on varsity soccer team. Yeah.
Freshman, and he played reserve, and they moved him up, and his first start, I think, was against St. X.
Yeah.
And so he's
How about that?
And then he still has one that's a year older than Brady, my Brady, and his name's Brady too, but he's pretty damn good as well.
Well, I just remember that. Let's see, that's what's really cool is that you of course remember Andy, and then Bob Dorco was awesome as well. So it would be my dad and Mr. Dorco after basketball games in the garage, sitting there, and they would have beer cans lined up, and they'd say Timmy should have went over here, and Andy should have went over here, and they'd like kind of hit it,
the best was Andy would come over, and we were down in the basement, and they were still up till like 2 a.m, and we went upstairs, and you see Mr. Dorco, my dad, Mr. Dorco's boxing out big. You gotta box out like this.
Oh my goodness.
We're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yes, I can.
I can see that.
That's good role models right there.
It is. I mean,
where do you think we got it from then?
Yeah.
I love the Dorcos, and your friendship that you've had with Andy is really cool, and that it's fun for me to see him at March Madness, because it's like you said, it's we don't see him that often, but when we see him, it's like we just saw him the other day. play.
It's like that with a lot of the guys that, I don't see Nate Cosman, but when I do, or, Trevor, all Adam Zabo, all the guys I grew up with. You never forget that bond that you had when you were in the neighborhood doing the things that you guys were doing. In the woods, playing sports, collecting baseball cards, riding bikes,
Totally. Man. Where is that now?
I'm just sitting there thinking, that when you said that with baseball cards, the first thing I thought of was riding your bike with putting baseball cards on spokes.
I was thinking that too.
It's just, it's.
I told my brother the other day I could go for a good, hard, flat stick of chewing gum from the baseball card pack.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Funny story. I bought Brady an open box from like
a whole year, season or whatever. Yeah.
It had the wax paper on it, and there was gum in there, and he opened it, and he's like, why is there gum in here? I'm like, that's what
funny?
Used to do.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you remember this. You might have been too young, but do you remember the RC Cola cans that had the baseball players on them?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At RC, you would go out and everybody would collect them because we'd have like, Andre Ronce or Steve Garvey. And
you probably have some still.
Probably somewhere. I'm sure all my stuff that I have.
The antiques.
All right, so Timmy, we're going to do your favorite high school memory, college, and then maybe your either favorite teacher or coach might be a little bit difficult because he had some good ones.
So favorite memory in high school or
high school? Give me high school.
Cool. Anytime you beat Turpin's good.
That's what I like.
So I think our senior year beating Turpin
in what
football.
Okay,
is that the 14-12 game?
14-12.
All right.
Games
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say the St. X game.
Well, I was thinking like when.
Yeah.
Because we didn't beat St. X, but that St. X game, and I've told you this, and you still think I'm crazy. I think it's the most fans that Anderson's ever had at a football
Agreed.
game.
It was packed.
There are people around the track.
Hard to get much more than that.
Yeah. That game was unbelievable just for that aspect. The game obviously didn't end the way we wanted it to, but that aspect was awesome. I remember them lining up from, we used to go out and do walkthrough right outside the gymnastics room or whatever it was, or the football meeting. People were lined up at like 4:30, and it was almost to the tennis court, waiting to get in.
How about that?
At that time, that was big.
That's big.
Well, and I think they were 1 in the city, and we were 2 at the time.
Yep.
So obviously,
I think if you would have won that game, you would have beat Piqua. I think it really. You guys put everything you had into that game, and I think that really hurt you guys to play Piqua.
Yeah, and we didn't play on a Friday night. We played on a Saturday. We had practice. Yeah,
remember, I think Kenny Riddell said that too. Something like they had an unbelievable game against St. X, and they all got kind of beat up. Then they had to come back the next week or whatever. Yeah.
Was that the Princeton when they had to play Princeton then after that?
I don't know.
It's
I never got to experience it.
Especially looking at their roster too. If you looked at St. X's roster that they had, they had probably 5 or 6 guys I think that went to like Michigan State, Illinois.
Holy cow!
Who was the big linebacker then?
It was Mike Marshall, but he ended up playing. He ended up going to Butler to play basketball.
Yes, but
he didn't play football. But he was
huge.
Yeah,
Marshall. Remember Marty? He went to Michigan State.
Wow.
Mike Gusick went to Illinois.
They had some.
And a lot of those kids were from Anderson too.
Right. No, that's great.
How about teacher?
Mr. Coleman, Coach Bart. I had him, so he was awesome. Coaches, all 3 coaches that I had, you can't go wrong with those guys.
Yeah.
Coach Siriano, Coach Brandy, and even the assistant coaches were awesome. Coach Riefeld, I don't know if you remember.
I do.
He was pretty.
He went on to become a head coach.
He did. I think he
won a state championship.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Up in Indiana.
So, what was your time frame of where were you at for 7th and 8th grade?
At Anderson.
So you were 7.
I was I think we were one of the first.
So you were 7 through 12.
7 through 12.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How was that experience going into high school as a 7th grader?
That's for sure.
Going from Summit Elementary right to.
But I always remember we were always just upstairs. They tried to make the upstairs try to be the 7th, 8th.
Separated a little bit.
There was no way you could do it. And then you had to go downstairs, and man, those guys when you walking around, looking around like beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So when would that have been then? You would have been.
When did Trace graduate? 88?
She was 88.
So
89?
Yeah.
89, 90.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, because it was 91 through 95.
Yeah, because Forest Hills Junior High was only for a couple of years.
But did they have it at Mercer?
Yes.
They did.
Right.
They did.
That was originally Turpin Middle School, and then became Forest Hills Junior High for 2 or 3 years, and then they went 7 through 12 in both the high schools.
It's just amazing that they did that you could fit all those people in there.
It was crowded.
I mean,
I bet.
I mean, I think Vince thought that was the best thing ever because he got to see kids. You know,
and he could control his...
Right.
What he wanted to do was the football program, right?
Yep.
I mean, he could bring up, run the same plays that you ran.
That's exactly right.
Ninth,
yeah,
and you'd have everything down and ready.
Yeah, even Daniel Rod said that too.
Yeah,
because they were there too at the time.
And that's what these kids are having a hard time with at Nagel and stuff. I talked to Trevor Ellison. I think he's going to be the coach, and so it's hard because you get them one year, then they have a different coach the next year, so they're not learning the same kind of stuff, and they're learning different things, and then they're going into high school learning a totally different
It's
thing.
just the weirdest thing in the world to have one middle school and then you separate them. It's just the weirdest possible thing I think you could have.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially with like how they're trying to make new friends, and then they're separating them on the field, and
it's just crazy. Just make one high school and be done.
I guess I'll find out next year, right?
So I know that you have stories about Steve. You got anything you want to tell everybody out there about Steve? About Steve, remember any memories of Steve growing up? Like when you were anything you can think of?
You remember me passing the ball to your brother?
You passed the ball?
Oh, please.
No, didn't you have like the all-time assist record? Do you still have it?
I think so, but I mean, they're not keeping individual records just like you. You're not sure, but I'm not sure.
Didn't you guys dress up as nerds once, like for a Halloween party?
We've done a lot of weird.
How much money is he paying you to say this?
Because you guys had pretty good outfits on then.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we didn't have to buy anything.
And we just went to Goodwill and get all of our stuff.
You know what I remember though is about you guys. You played football, but you guys all went to soccer games. That was like
all the time. That was huge,
right? I mean,
support all the
yeah. But I mean, that was like the football.
It was.
That is huge. Now, right?
Right.
That you guys got dressed up and went
to our faces, and
I mean, that's what I remember seeing in the local newspapers. It was about soccer. It wasn't about football.
Yeah, and mainly those games were up on the baseball field. Yeah, up top there.
Yeah, you guys played at Brown Stadium for a little bit.
They played St. X down there.
Yeah, but the bigger games, I guess.
Right. Yeah, because more bleachers, I guess.
Yeah, that was soccer was the king, and a lot of those guys could have played on the football team. Would have been really, really good.
Oh, no question.
Like McClellan's, the McClellan.
Did you play soccer?
I did up until sophomore year was my last year. Yeah, I played for Joe Moon.
And you know what? He should have.
He was my coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Joe Moon. Should have never quit.
I know.
Should have never.
No, I needed to work my free throws.
Yeah, big time. didn't help.
Listen to you.
Didn't help.
Yeah, no thanks to you.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Now that's really cool that you brought that thing though for Steve though too. That's
it was neat. I saw that in there, and your dad had some players over. He wanted to talk to us before the Turpin game and give us a pep speech a little bit, and he wrote that out for us. And I thought that was cool, and I kept it. And
it's really cool, and I mean, he was a huge fan. I know he's a huge fan of yours, and a huge fan of Anderson. So any motivational thing was because his heart, bled orange and black.
Hey, just one real quick thing for you, because I know what it was like for me, but being a former player when we were on some really bad teams, but. How cool was it, like when Anderson went on that run, and as a former player, all the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
That Coach Sirianni used to have that saying up there for how many years you sit in these chairs, and you felt it that day. I mean, I have goosebumps now thinking about how cool it was, because we used to have that gymnastics room. I remember seeing little kids poking their heads up through, thinking, these guys are pretty cool. Right. And now, and then you you look at it and they're going to win state, and now you get recognized. Everybody knows, oh, you went to Cincinnati Anderson? Holy cow, they won state. You know?
Yeah.
Before it was, no one knew.
Whatever.
Right.
You know, so that was, I mean, we had a great time with the coaches and stuff after the game, but
that was fun.
That was awesome.
You remember Kurt Shoemaker said that when he was little, his dad would come over that and lift him up to look into that window of that gymnastics room to hear Vince give his pregame speech.
Pregame, he would go crazy after the game. He's pounding the wall.
Coach Jay Peterson.
Yeah.
He was another.
Randy Corbett was. Randy was a good AD too.
Yeah, Bob Mullinex. He had some great.
Bob was awesome.
Yeah, He was great. It's just amazing, just the memories. I'm glad we finally got you here, Timmy. It was it took a little bit to go, but glad you were able to finally get on this podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I just want to say one more time, I mean, what a great career Timmy had. I mean, in all three sports, and I can't say enough about being a captain of three sports. How I think important that is when it comes to respect and leadership, and everything. And I know to this day, every single one of those players on those teams respect and know how deserving it was for him to be on that team.
Well, and again, I'm biased. He's my brother. I don't care that people, say whatever they want, but that we have and all league and every sport that he played, some form or fashion, all league, sport, playing since he was a sophomore and playing varsity as a sophomore in football, if there's anybody, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame, and I think maybe this will help for people to really look at his stats and see what he says. And yes, I am biased because he's my brother, but if you sit and look at it, there's no question he should be in there.
Yeah. One day.
We'll get him in there.
Yeah.
We'll get him in there. So, Tim, thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Tim Albers, you've been listening to This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you next week.